Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday live stream. So we're right before the weekend, so we'll try to make this quick and we'll go over a lot of things. So let's just jump right into it. So today we see a little bit of a pretty much sideways pattern. It's very boring, I must admit, but it is interesting how these price action movement has been playing out. And it looks very regimented, very strict, and like there's something going on behind the scenes. Now, of course, people can easily just say, it's just manipulation. Maybe, I mean, who knows? But really what it comes down to is that there are individuals, people, hedge funds, institutions selling, and that's just pretty much par for the course. And we're going to see that today. We actually reached, I think, around 93, almost 90, 93,000, then quickly dropped again. And this happened actually yesterday and almost like the day before. It's like 3 days in a row. And what really is going on made me think. This is a post from Bull Theory. And he or she talks about the 10 a.m. manipulation is back. The 10 a.m. manipulation. Bitcoin dropped $2,000 in 35 minutes and wiped out 40 billion from its market cap. Now, what is great for that? That's great for exchanges because when that happens, they get to hoard all those different fees, wipe out the longs, wipe out the shorts as they come in and out. So for me, when I take a look at this and I go, I don't know what's going on in the background. I think everybody else they've got some pretty good educated guesses. But for me personally, when I take a look at this, I remain, and I've said this, I don't know how to say this, short-term bearish, but I continue to buy every single day. And these are part of the reasons why, because of the things that are going on in the background. So when we take a look at this 8 a.m. wipeout, we can see that, yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. Now, I don't know if Bull Theory was talking about a specific time zone, but this is at 7 o'clock a.m. Atlantic Standard Time. I am in Puerto Rico. AST follows pretty much the Eastern Standard Time. I'm 6 months out of the year, so this could be what he's talking about here. But yeah, 92,000 and then just plummeted in no time to 92, lost 2,000. Then we come over here, December 9th, we're up at 94,000. Everything's going great. Then we just drop off the face of the planet down to 91,000. Then, of course, today or from last night, we were at 91, popped to 93,000 at 1800 hours Atlantic Standard Time, and had a nice little run. And then all of a sudden, everybody just sells off. And it just keeps happening again and again and again. So we take a look at the ETF flows, and we can see that it's not just retail that is selling off. It is parts of the institutions. Now, yes, the ETFs are comprised of retail, advisors, and institutions. That would be hedge funds, that would be market makers, that would be whatever that's in there. Excuse me, not market makers. That would be the individuals or the companies that are buying on behalf of somebody else for the ETFs. So it could be a whole host of different people. It's not just retail that is getting into the ETFs. So there's a bit of mass selling. That brings to that with the Bitcoin ETF flow. It was negative as of yesterday. It looks like almost 78 million. 2 days prior, though, positive, but then negative, negative, negative. 4 or 5 days of positive and then negative. It's pretty much been a roller coaster, and this is just for Bitcoin itself. Ethereum, we've seen a lot of negative days. Even yesterday, 11 December, 77. Whoops. Let me re-up that to make sure. Maybe not. Well, we'll get back to it as soon as it comes up. But then I've already taken a look at it. Ethereum had a negative day yesterday, and the only one that was actually winning was Solana. And we take a look at the bull market support band, we're still way under where we should be. This is just Q4, not so great. So all these things are very negative. So why am I keep throwing sand in the ocean? Why do I keep doing this? It's because there's a couple of things that I've learned along the way. And that is that weeks seem to feel like months. And a month seems to feel like a year. And as you're investing into things and you're putting money away for it, you don't really realize the gains you have until far off into the future, and you can just look back and say, man, I'm glad I did that. I did the same thing in, 2018 and 19. I did the same thing in 2022 and 23. And here we are in 2025. And I don't know if it's going to play out like people say, which is, well, because quantitative tightening has stopped, quantitative easing will start right back up, or whatever the Federal Reserve wants to call it. Yes, the business cycle is looks like it may be elongated. Will we get the PMI as it goes above 50? It's anybody's guess if that really is what it is. And then, of course, is it just as easy as rate cuts? Is it the economy? Is it the delinquencies? It's a whole lot of things that are throwing out there, and nobody knows for sure. So what I'm going to do is just say, okay, I still believe that the government is going to continue to print money, check. I believe they're going to continue to debase our currency, check, check. And I'm still going to believe that there is a finite supply of Bitcoin, check, check, check. So if those all hold true, which I think they will, I think in the long run, things will work out. So this is why I'm actually looking into buying even more. So if we take a look at the risk levels, Bitcoin is pretty low, 0.42. And as we start to decrease the valuation of Bitcoin, the risk levels go lower. And right now, I was buying around, I was still buying a little bit at 0.5, 0.52, somewhere around there. I was still buying pretty high. But then as it got into the 0.45 levels and below, I started to double up. And now as we get into the 0.4 and below, once it starts to hit below 85,000, the daily buys that I have, I will not be doubling them. I will be tripling them. And I will triple down. And I'll probably triple down until about 0.35, and then I will quadruple down and keep buying down as we go. Does that mean that we couldn't go to like 40,000 or 37,000? No. And at some point, I'll probably have to, take a step back and go, okay, how much money do I really actually have? But for right now, this is what I've planned to do, and I'll keep going forward because this was the plan that I have when things were the most rational. Now, can things go down the tubes? Yes, they can. Can prices go down massively? Absolutely. But again, every time since I've done this, it's worked out pretty well for me, and only time will tell. So anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comments section. And then just as a real quick recap, just to understand it, there's a link in the description where I talk about dynamic DCAing, but it's very simple. And all it was is like on this example, I said 0.7 to 0.8. Wouldn't that be great if we were in that risk level? I don't think I'd be buying at 0.8. At 222,000, I probably wouldn't be buying. But this, I think I made I made this slide like 2.5 years ago or so. But 0.7, I'd be like $50 a week. And then at 0.6, I just add a little like $10, $60 a week, 70. And then of course, as it gets lesser, you put more money in. Now that is what I'm doing. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor, but this is just what's made sense for me and has worked moving forward. Anyhow, let me know if that makes sense or if I can explain it more. Again, there's a link in the description. We'll show you a video. But we have those pieces and also Kwon. And this is one of those things about the crypto market where we have to, get past some specific items. And one of those was Kwon and Luna and the collapse and the fraud that was. And I find it interesting that what founders got how much prison sentences compared to other centralized exchange founders and what they did. And really it all comes down to fraud. So this one right here is a 41-year prison run rate, predicts a brutal future. And I think it's only gonna get worse. But we'll see who comes up. And actually this part's, let's see, distribution also shows how courts have been separating two enforcement tracks. Here's what it comes down to. Kwon got 15 years as of yesterday. And the reason was because of fraud. SBF, or Sam Bankman, he got 25 years because of fraud. Alex Muskamsky, he got 12 years because of fraud. But CZ only got 4 months in prison. And the reason was, because he was, there was, correct me in the comment section, but there was no fraud that was found. His big issue was KYC AML, anti-money laundering and compliance issues. And because of that, he served just 4 months in jail. And there's a big difference between actively knowing and frauding your participants and your customers as opposed to overlooking some different parts of anti-money laundering. And of course, when the lawyers get into it, they can make a pretty good case as to why that was done and why things were changed and so on and so forth. But if anybody says, well, why did CZ get such a low prison rate and then the rest of them did, it's because of fraud and what they did. SBF could come. I know he came out and said that it wasn't fraud, there was money there, but in the end of the day, it wasn't proven by his lawyers. That's why he's sitting in jail for 25 years. Anyhow, you take SBF and take a look at his right-hand person, Caroline Ellison, and she only got 2 years, but she was involved with fraud. Why was it? Because she cooperated and she made a plea deal. So moral of the story, play game theory. And if you're caught, make sure that you squeal first so you don't have to spend 23 extra years in jail and you can get only for 2 years, even though you were actively part of the fraud situation. And a couple more honorable mentions. Roland Marcus Andrade, AML Bitcoin founder, he got 7 years. Travis Ford got 5 years. Wolf Capital, I don't know what that is, crypto trading. And Samurai Wallet founders, which we just talked about this weekend, and the travesty that was, they got 5 years. And there's a little bit of a wrinkle to that, but that's what we have. So let me know if those are fair practices and fair judgments, or if you think that they should be got even further. And then lastly, before we get into the Q&A, YouTube is paying me in stablecoins. I didn't know this was an option until today. So this was actually from Fortune magazine. YouTube launches options for US creators to receive PYUSD, the stablecoin, through PayPal. And it was pretty interesting. And what I did was I reached out to them and I said, hey, I understand you guys are paying now in PYUSD. I'd like to get paid in that. And they said, oh, we're not for sure if that's what's happening. This is for the creators segment. There's like a back channel that you can use to talk to Google. He said, we'll get back to you, but yes, that is being rolled out in waves. So looks like I won't be paid in cash. I can opt on to PYUSD or PayPal, stablecoin. Why is that important? It's not important for everybody, but if you get cash and you buy Bitcoin like me, and I'm going to be tripling and quadrupling up, it's just much easier to use a stablecoin like PYUSD because of the rates a little bit lower, depending on what exchange you actually use. I'd like to not spend so much in the damn fees. So for me, this is a good news. For other people, it depends. And of course, they're paying cross-border payments and so on and so forth. So anyhow, the move highlights how major tech like Apple, Airbnb isn't doing that, and X, well, maybe they are, but no one's paid me in Bitcoin yet for Airbnb, are increasingly exploring stablecoins as payout rails, allowing companies to avoid directly handling digital assets. PYUSD, available in 2023, issued by Paxos. I didn't know that. I thought it was just a PayPal product, but I guess not. It's by Paxos. It's designed for seamless conversions, cross-border transfers, subscriptions, vendor payments, and near-instant settlement with PayPal's ecosystem. Emphasis on everyday commerce. So the stablecoin is gaining traction, earning support on Visa's stablecoin settlement platform alongside USDG and Circle's, well, it's USDC or EUROC, and PYUSD is now the 6th largest stablecoin. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know my thesis. Thesis is essentially that I think the next killer application for crypto is payments. And it's not just me tracking, it's Visa. And I always say, you know, just follow the best. And you can see here that it's still, as far as like volume over the last 12 months, Tron did $3.4 trillion in volume. That's not me telling you, that's VisaOnChainAnalytics.com telling you. So it's Tron, it's Binance, it's Ethereum, and it's Solana, or BEST. And maybe you can throw in, well, these one. Actually, I did actually look this up, but PayPal USD or PYUSD is on 3 chains, which I did not know. One is Ethereum, because everything's on Ethereum. And the other 2 are Stellar and Arbitrum 1. Isn't that interesting? Arbitrum 1 is the same layer 2 solution that Robinhood is using to tokenize equities. So maybe there'll be instead of the BEST, it'll be the Beast, the Binance, Ethereum, Arbitrum, Solana, and Tron. Maybe Stellar. Anyhow, that's it for today. So everybody, on a Friday. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. We talk about is time sensitive. Now let's get into a little Q&A and answer your questions, and we'll get out of here. Good to know, Sequoia. Let's see. Not the biggest fan of Gemini, but they're offering 4% for holding RLUSD. You know, I never really liked holding a stable coin or any crypto onto an exchange for any long period of time because, like we just talked about, the fraud, which was FTX, also Voyager. Boy, how did Steve avoid jail time? Huh. Anyhow, don't sue me, but I'm just asking. Steve Ehrlich, who was the CEO of Voyager, who was on my channel many a times and lied right to my face. And let's see. And then Alex Mashinsky and Celsius. I don't like to store anything on there. And as of 2022 is the reason why I have these rules. Because unfortunately, roughly 12 hours before Celsius collapsed, I found out, tried to warn everybody, a lot of people lost, including me. Voyager, I found out 2 weeks before they collapsed because they did a $630 million uncollateralized loan to 3 Arrows Capital. And I gave everybody 2 weeks to get the hell out of there. And people still complain about it. I get it. You can't watch me every day, but you should have at least watched me once in 2 weeks, and you shouldn't have put things on an exchange where they told you not to. I'm not your dad. So with this one, I don't like leaving things on exchanges. I'll never change. Never change from now. Anyhow. Rob, where are the ETFs? Depends on where you want to get them through. It's a good question. So like, I mean, you can go to your wealth manager, Fidelity, if you have an account there, or go through BlackRock or Bitwise, VanEck, Invesco, Grayscale, and just find those. Google search them up and then just go down that way. That's usually how people do it. They sign up for the service. Now there is a charge. There is a fee. You can see BlackRock. I think it's 0.25% per transaction. And roughly it's about 0.2%. And Franklin Templeton is only 0.19. So if that's what you want to do, I have no problems with ETFs because what's great about ETFs is that they do custodian holding of services. And they do it through Coinbase Prime. I know that's a little bit of a conjecture to say, well, Rob, you told me that you don't like to keep your crypto on an exchange, but yet now you're talking about an ETF. For some people, not me, it's not a bad idea. Like Julie here is asking about it. Maybe Julie's got, I don't know, she works 3 jobs and's got 5 kids and doesn't have time to figure it out and doesn't want to deal with writing down 24 words on a piece of paper that hopefully doesn't get ripped off, or putting on a cold storage device where she gets catfished or some type of scam gets happening and she loses her entire life savings, or she's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna let somebody else deal with it because they've had a pretty good track record so far. At least it's legitimate and it's overseen by the SEC and gotten approval. That's no problem. If that's what's important to you, it's important to you. I'm just saying what I do, I don't do that. And that's it. But I will diversify. So yeah. Yeah. Forum says, great job, Rob. I also don't like to keep coins on centralized exchanges, but using Coinbase One to get 0 fees, still a dumb spread, and then transfer to cold storage. Hey, if whatever works for you guys, it doesn't matter to me. If it works for you, fantastic. Cold wallet in your sad deposit box. That's great. Tell the bank gets robbed. I'm like, sorry, you know, I know your cold storage device was there with that piece of paper, but yeah, they took it. So that's it. Anyhow, you want to know what works for me pretty well so far is just diversification of your assets. I know people always talk about, well, you got to diversify in your investments. I want you to diversify for security. This is what I did. I took a big chunk, somewhere between 1% and 10,000%. I don't know. Well, that doesn't make any sense. 1% to, let's say, 50%. and I put in an iTRUST for their custodial services, which is the same custodial services as Coinbase. And I also have some ledgers. I may have 1, I may have 20. And TANGEMs, I have more than 1. We'll just say that. And I've spread all this crypto around because I'm paranoid, because I get emails once a week from people who have lost their entire life savings in crypto because they did something that they shouldn't have. And that's why I spread things around. I refuse to be that person. That's that. Let's see. Pop is delusional. What's your favorite meme coin? Dogecoin is. Nothing wrong with Doge. It's the first. Why not? Let's see. Sequoia says, I'm sticking with my TANGEM. I still want the one I lost in Rob's couch. That 1,000 Bitcoin on it. Hey, good news, everybody. I forgot to mention this at the beginning. So we're going to be doing the 12 days of Christmas giveaway, which will start on Christmas Day. And it will conclude on January 5th. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give away specific items. Some are physical items. Some are memberships to specific sites. And I'm going to give away one thing, one subject every single day. So like, let's say we give away some TANGEMs. I might do 3 to 5 TANGEMs that day. And maybe I give away something like, I don't know, 3 or 4 master accounts for CoinLedger, whatever. So that'll be happening on Christmas Day moving forward. Should be good times. Let's see. Tokenized PR hasn't gotten back to me at the register now button. I'm sure they'll figure it out. Don't worry, Krantz. If you have problems, I'll get you in. Let's see. Piper says, hope you're doing well, Rob. Packing ahead to Europe for Christmas cruise. That sounds pretty good. Will you be giving away any cookies? I don't know about cookies, but probably crypto. So let's see. Quit Time says, do you keep the seed phrase for TANGEM yourself? Here's the great thing. The private key, not the mnemonic phrase or seed phrase, the private key is located within the card itself of TANGEM. There's 2 options. You can put the private key and put it in the card, or you can have the card generate you through the app a mnemonic phrase. And you can write that mnemonic phrase down and keep it somewhere, and hopefully nobody steals it, or the piece of paper gets wiped away, or someone knows where it is and takes it from you or whatever else. Me personally, I've done both. I did a mnemonic phrase with the TANGEM card, and I recorded it and we did it out as a video. But for the other 1 to 10 that I have, that's all the card itself. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, as far as with TANGEM, it's okay. It's a little confusing, but I made it pretty simple. Links in the description. It's a 20-minute video. Check that out. Let's see. And I think that's it. We'll leave it here. I can happily say I've never been hacked or scammed, and that's what I want to hear from everybody. Don't get hacked or scammed. You know, it's a funny thing. In the description of the video, where did this go? Of every single video I do, the 5 rules gets a lot of views, but these ones, avoid all scams, don't fall for AI scams, it has some of the lowest views of all the videos that I have for my critical crypto videos. Like dynamic DCAing has tens of thousands. Why I'm selling 80% almost has 100,000. Stress-free profit taking about 40,000. But the scam ones, like 5,000, 6,000. I know people don't care about it, but they should, because it doesn't matter how much you make, it's how much you keep. And that's it for tonight. So look, like tonight's video, thumbs up, subscribe, all that great stuff, and I will see you guys. Oh, tomorrow we have a pre-recorded video, which I'll put out. It's a project that is going to be a channel partner. So I will release that tomorrow. And then Sunday, we'll be back live with me and Jerry Hall. So everybody, I'll see you guys live on Sunday. Tomorrow will be the pre-recorded video. That's it for tonight. Have a great weekend. If I don't see you, adios.